What is up, everyone? Steven here from TechMaker.tv. In this episode, we're going to keep going with implementing our color system from material design that we started in the last episode. I guess the episode was actually a day or two ago. In any case, we're going to keep going with that here and try to get the theme set up. According to my notes, this is actually part 19 of this series, building out this note-taking app. And just to kind of give you a quick reminder, let's look at the design. So I'm going to design it to have this monochromatic layout here. This is Illustrator if you're curious and you haven't used it before. And if you want to follow along from start to finish, the best place to do that is over on our website, techmaker.tv. You can keep track of your progress and all that stuff a little bit more easily there. And I don't know if it's this series or not, but some of the series that we do, we have these kind of long work sessions that don't really fit into kind of a topic. And so I'll put those over on the website because it's just kind of in a sequence over there. But in any event, I want to run one other thing by you really quick before we get started, which is that we're setting up a new Facebook group. It's actually set up, and we're going to start trying to build a community over there where we have a little bit more interaction. I don't know everything that we're going to do yet. I'm actually not the one who's sort of moderating that, but I'll definitely be involved. So we're going to start doing, I think we're going to have Ask Me Anything Fridays. We may have something on Mondays where you can demonstrate, or share things that you've been working on or whatever. But in any case, if you want to get involved with that, I'll throw a link down in the comments, and there'll probably be something popping up in the right corner above you or above me. I don't know, on my screen, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, we'll start off with an Ask Me Anything type deal all day tomorrow, so you can drop any questions over there that you want, and we'll answer everything that we can. With all of that said, let's go ahead and jump into the episode. So what I want to do first, let's just go remind ourselves where we are. So I have this theme CSS. Let's start with the Navbar, actually. And I think in this episode, if we look back over at the design, I'm going to be bouncing around quite a bit here, so you have to bear with me. But if you look at our nav bar, it's a little bit unusual. It's kind of a small logo with a little logout thing over here. I don't know if I'll totally stick with this, but I'm going to try to. For this episode, I'm just going to focus in on this specific page, which is, I think, pages/show. And get everything right here, and then hopefully that will actually kind of straighten out a lot of what we've already built elsewhere as well. But I may do like a longer work session, as I was mentioning earlier, to kind of flesh out all the little nuances, because it's a little bit dull to watch somebody excuse me, kind of go through little tiny CSS tweaks. So okay, what do we need to do? The first thing I want to do is, well, let's look back at our design. I think we have this little strip at the top, and we've got then the breadcrumbs and the buttons under it. So let's just go ahead and stick a couple of divs in here. So we'll just have top section, top stripe, and then toolbar, something like that. Inside of here, I'm going to grab this Navbar brand. Actually, just inside of each of these, I'm going to add a container fluid. Okay, and then, so we'll have the top stripe, container fluid, then we'll have notes app, then we don't need this anymore. I guess we need, I don't know what I'm going to do for all of the different collapse stuff or whatever. I may just like not even worry about that for the moment, which is sort of heresy, I know, but the thing is I'm actually using this app and I only use it on desktop right now, so maybe I'll worry about the mobile later, which I know is, again, it's totally heresy, and if this was a real product, I probably wouldn't do that. Definitely wouldn't do that. Let's see here. So how can I go? Let me actually comment. Well, I need all of this to be up in my, I guess I want the ML auto. You know what? I'm going to actually just put all that back, and we'll put it inside of that top stripe, inside the container, and then I'm going to get rid of this extra space down here. Let's go see what this looks like. Probably didn't do much yet. Just kind of can bump that in. It did move everything to the left. Why did that happen? I don't know. I'm going to worry about it just a little bit later. It might be because it doesn't like this top stripe business here. So the first thing I'm going to do, or the next thing I'm going to do rather, is go ahead and get rid of the BG light right here and the Navbar light. I'm going to get rid of all the coloring essentially. So now you can see it's just transparent. It's kind of interesting looking. And then let's go over to our theme. So we've got a navbar, right? So we'll say navbar, and then we'll nest everything inside of there. I'm going to do .top stripe, and I'm going to set the background color to be, let's do M color, theme color. And let me go check the design really quick to see what that actually is. So that should be darken 4, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll do darken 4, like that. And then under that we have this container fluid toolbar. So toolbar, .toolbar. I'm going to set the background color to be darken 3. And I'm going to actually set a height on both of these, which is going to be a little bit arbitrary for now, and I'm going to have to eyeball it because I actually don't know what the height is. Well, I guess I can look on Illustrator, but I'm not 100% sure that it's going to confer to me. How do I even check this? I did enough Illustrator to know how to make things look okay, but I don't actually know where to check the actual height of that element, so I'll have to look at that later, so forget it. Let's do 20 pixels here, and then let's do 40 pixels here. And let's go see what it looks like. So if we refresh, I don't believe it's going to be 2040 in the end, but it could be. Okay, that's awful. What in the world is happening? Navbar. You know what? Let's get rid of the nav for now. Let's see what this does. So that does nothing. Let's come back over here and let's give this a width of 100%. And let's give this a width of 100%. Let's just shoot from the hip. How about it? And then we'll go from here. Nothing. What is going on? Let's inspect and figure it out. So we got top stripe up here. Oh, huh. I have everything nested inside a navbar, and now I don't have a navbar. There we go. Let me just kind of see what this does. Okay, so let's take a glance at that, and then let's look at what's going on with our design. So that looks pretty close to the design. So what we could do, I don't know how kosher this is. What we could do is put a div navbar, and what was the other class we need? Navbar expand LG. And then we could bump everything in here up into that, and we can see what that does. I don't want to refresh my Illustrator. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so we've got our stuff lined up over here. Okay, so what we want to do, let me see if I can, this navbar thing is probably going to be playing with us in a funny way here. So the navbar, its height is actually larger or something. It's probably not the height, it's probably the padding of the elements inside, if I have to guess. You know, I just want to say for the record that I'm definitely not some kind of CSS wizard, so this is going to be maybe kind of a slow episode. But I don't have a good feeling about putting that navbar in here, honestly. Let's just back all that out. And then what I'd like to do is have the top stripe, container fluid, and inside of here, I think what I'm going to do for now is just kind of rough in something. I'm going to say justify content between, which means I need to give that a deflex like that. Then let's bump this in here. Let's get rid of Navbar brand because it's technically not inside a Navbar or anything. And then let's, what did I call that over here? I'm going to come up with like a real product name at some point, but I've set this up like this, notes, app. And then let's put a, we don't actually have a Navbar now. So really all I want is just like a, in actual fact, we may have something totally different for log in, log out. Well, I don't know. Sorry, I haven't really figured all this out, as you can probably tell. So let's put this here. Let's see here. So we don't actually have any of this stuff going on. So let's refresh and see what this does. So really all I'm doing now is I'm saying we're putting a container here, and then inside of there we're adding a div which is deflex, and we're going to basically push the elements to the edges, and then my two top level elements are an a tag and then a ul. And we have this if user signed in, we have my notebooks and so on, and this is going to line up funny. Again, I keep trying to refresh the freaking yeah, so okay, now we've got my notebooks and sign out here. I feel like that might not be big enough of a div, honestly, which is fine. So I'll fix the layout of this in a minute. I got to figure out, there's probably a way to actually easily with Bootstrap put these things horizontally. So we got the same kind of deal here. I'm just stripping away all the Bootstrap right now, basically. So that's going to look the same. So I think I'm going to bump that up to 30 pixels, and we'll see what that looks like. And we'll just give it like, I guess I need to figure out how to line those things up horizontally next. Let me go ahead and line up my CSS here. I kind of deleted some stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything lined up properly and put some padding, get the colors right, all that stuff, and then we'll have the top stripe done, and then we'll go ahead and we'll work on the next layer down, which is going to be this toolbar. You know, looking at this, I'm getting an idea here. So, you know, sometimes you get in this thing where you're like, I'm going to solve this problem, and then you realize, wait a minute, that shouldn't even be a problem we're trying to solve. So, for example, if user signed in, we don't really need a list here. All I need to do is basically have, if, you'll see what I mean in a second. This is kind of like people talk about 10x developers and whatnot. Sometimes people can sort of achieve that by just not solving the problem, and so it actually saves you a lot of time. So we don't actually need this notebooks thing, because right now the home page of this app doesn't do anything really. So, and the sign-in link already has a link to register on that page, so we can actually get away with just having two links like this. So let's go look at that, see what that looks like. So this should basically just look the way we want, sort of. I want to get rid of that class nav link. I think that's messing us up a little bit. And now we should be looking decent up here. Okay, so what I want to do is, first of all, I want to make this say log out and then sign in, and I think that should be good. Then what we're going to do is basically this div inside of our, so we have top stripe, container fluid. I don't know, what should we call this? I'm just trying to think. So we have top stripe, I guess we can just go straight inside of top stripe and put like a padding of, I don't know, let's say like 5 pixels or something like that. And height, let's do like a min, I don't know. Let's refresh and see what this looks like. Okay, so it's messing with the height. So what we could do is The only thing we might could do is actually get rid of this height altogether and then set the font size on the A. So we could say font size, it's like 13 pixels or something. And this may look a little bit better. So that's kind of what I was going for, actually. It's kind of a small text up there. I really want to, the reason I'm doing this is personally with this design, the kind of philosophy behind it is I want to de-emphasize the navigation and the name of the app. So whatever app name I come up with and stuff, I want to make the focus like you're taking notes. It's about you. It's not about the app, which is, so I don't want to have some big logo or whatever. It's just a thought. Again, it's like a personal project. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a good business decision or anything. Okay, so now what? We need to set the colors correctly. So what we could do is say color white, and then I need to add a span tag around app to match my design. So span and class equals, let's call it highlight. So if we want to look back and see what I'm talking about, here we have this little bright spot highlight. So what I'm going to do is say, just inside of, well, I need this highlight class everywhere kind of, so we'll say highlight text actually. Let's call that highlight text here, just to match our naming convention that we set up in the color file. So what we'll just do is say color, mcolor, and then we'll do, I can't type, theme color. And then I think it's accent 1 maybe. Let me actually check on that really quick. Well, let's just refresh and see what it looks like. We can eyeball it. So that looks pretty good. It's not the right font. The font should be Lato for my design, but I haven't set up the font yet, and I'm not going to worry about it just yet. Let me double check that hex code here. So that's 18FFF. And then let's look in color. Let's look for cyan. Is that what it is? So it should be accent 2 actually. Okay, so let's take a look at that. That's probably going to have a little bit more blue poppiness in it or something, if I have to guess. Okay, cool. So I think we can kind of leave that there. So now we've got our links. Let's actually, let us do one more thing here. So I don't like text decoration, and we'll say, and hover color is, well, you know what, let's do a theme color lighten 5. It's kind of going to give us like a, it's not gray, but it's going to simulate like a not too big of a color change. And then we can do like transition color, I don't know, 0.3 ease or something like that. Let's give this a try. It's probably going to change the color of the, see, you can't even really see it, but it's something. So I think that's fine. You don't see much. Okay, that's cool. So you might be curious what I meant earlier when I was saying that we don't really have a home page, and so we don't need that link. So if we go back over here, right now we've got this sort of useless home page, and what I'm going to do is actually set up the routes, and we're going to say route to, let's say notebooks index, and this will mean that we need to, so anytime we go home, we'll have this home notebooks here. I don't know, I don't hate that. It's kind of fine. So anyway, but now we don't need to link to a homepage because the homepage was useless before anyway, so now it just works like that. Obviously, if we add functionality, we'll need to change that up a bit, but I think this is fine. That is probably going to mess us up if we try to log out, though. So if I go to the... No, it's actually fine, because it just says, hey, that's an authenticated page, so sign in. So in some sense, we don't even need sign in up there. What's my login here? Okay, so anyway, Again, we'll worry with some of that later. That's not really the point of this episode. So next, what I want to do is hook up my, inside of my toolbar here, what I want to do is bring in my breadcrumbs. So we have this nav, blah, 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 breadcrumb. I think I'm going to try to just strip out this OL here. Or let's see. I think that might be what I want to do. Let me copy this so we don't actually delete it for now. Let's just paste that inside of the toolbar. And let's go look and see what that does. Well, that kind of gives us the same deal up here, right? So let's look and see if we have anything specified for breadcrumb or if that is default. Doesn't look like we do. So let's go over to our theme here, and inside of our toolbar, see .breadcrumb, background, color, transparent, not transition, transparent. And let's see what that looks like. And I think what we're going to do is kind of the same thing here. So instead of setting a height, that was useful to basically get that to show up. I'm going to set a padding of, in order for it to line up correctly, and actually this one should probably be like padding 5.0. This one should probably be like 10 pixels 0. So I don't want left-right padding, I just want top-bottom, and I'm not sure if that's the right order. I always mess that up. No, that's totally messed up. What in the world? I messed something up somewhere. Padding 10 pixels 0. Let's try to not do that, and let's try to set it to padding 5 pixels here and see where we are. Yeah, that's crazy. What is going on? Let me inspect this thing. I was not expecting this giant thing here, so what's causing that? MB5, that'll do it. Okay. And here you can see the perils of copy and paste. So I'm in the Navbar, right? My syntax highlighting is screwed up here. MB5, let's get rid of that. Let's also try to fix our, so padding 5. Here let's just leave it at 5 and see where we end up. Okay, so it's still kind of huge, honestly. Container fluid. I have a breadcrumb with a margin bottom, it looks like. So let's give the margin bottom 0. And that doesn't say bottom. Goodness. Okay, let's try this. So hopefully this looks more like we're anticipating. Okay, so what I want though, I need to do the padding left to be 0 on this. And because I really want these two things to line up basically. Okay, that's what we're going for. Okay, so then we have breadcrumb item and breadcrumb item active. So in here, what we're going to do is say breadcrumb item, and we're going to give this one a color. And I want it to basically be my highlight text, and I guess I could have actually done this a little differently, but I'm just going to go for it for now here. And active, what did I say the active color is in my design here? It's white. So we'll say color white. I think that's all right. So let's close this here and let's refresh and see what we got. Hopefully this looks good. Well, my notebooks works. This doesn't work. So what's going on with that? Breadcrumb item color. Oh, it's because it's the A tag. Okay, so we need to do A and bump that in there, and now that should work. I hope. And the only thing that's not working right is that little separator. And I think that's actually going to be like the base color maybe. Let's see, what color is that? OOBCD4. Let's go over to the color and look for OOBCD4. It's the base color, right. So how can we colorize this little separator? That's going to be in a before, I think, right here. So the before, so breadcrumb item colon before. Like I said, I'm definitely not a CSS wizard, as you can probably tell, but we're going to get there. So breadcrumb item, how can I do this? Can I do this? Is this the thing? Like that? And then color, and then let's grab the theme color base. And I think this is going to look cool if it works. Yeah, cool. So now let's click into a couple of things and see what it looks like when you're nested in. Okay, so I like that. I'm going to go ahead and remove this navbar here. Or not navbar, this breadcrumbs here. So where are we rendering? Render. Let's just look for breadcrumbs. Looks like render shared breadcrumbs is in the layout file. So let's just get rid of that and refresh, and that looks better. So it's definitely not there yet. So I think this episode is probably already at like half an hour or something. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But what we're going to do is bump these up here. And so we're going to use a yield or something so that basically we can provide a toolbar on each page. So the different pages can provide different tools to this toolbar. And then we've got our breadcrumbs there, so that's good. And then we basically want to, on the notes page, so on this page, I'm going to actually put like a sheet of paper kind of design here so that it looks good. And we'll also need to make this other stuff, this nav toolbar thing fixed at the top. And that's going to let the sheet of paper basically scroll under, you know, if it gets really long or whatever. So the other thing, and this is just the last little thing I want to do to kind of give you part of the motivation for why we're doing this, because what's cool about this is, let's say that you want to try a different color. All you got to do is change that from cyan to green, and you can watch this kind of just pop in as a green layout. Or how about, let's try something like purple. So it's kind of cool. I really like this kind of stuff, and it's going to look pretty good no matter what. You could actually pretty easily, I think, I'm going to say this and I might regret it, but I think you could like make this a user setting somehow, right? Where they could choose their color and then retheme it with just like a simple little switch like this. I'm going to go back to my cyan, I think, since that's what I had chosen, and we'll stick with that for now. But anyway, I think that's kind of a cool stopping point. In the next episode, we'll wrap it up, get the toolbar up in the toolbar area, get our page set up, and I think, I don't know, we might have to have a couple more episodes on this, and I'll just put them all on YouTube in sequence or something like that. Hopefully this is helpful and interesting and useful. If you want more stuff like this, be sure to give this a thumbs up. As always, that's how I keep track of kind of what everybody's into. So it's always good to do if you actually like the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And I will talk to you tomorrow.